Hey guys, what is up? I'm Molly Nevola here. Welcome to Thursday, May 4th edition of Fox 5 Live. And I gotta say it, May the 4th be with you. I wake up every May 4th and I await a text message from my best friend in Portland, Oregon, 3 hours behind, because I know that that friend is going to text me, May the 4th be with you, every year. So it's always a fun day. So happy Star Wars Day. It is Thursday. We have an interesting show for you guys today. Take a look at the newsroom behind me. I'm here in the little digital room giving you a little midday preview behind the scenes of live events and everything happening around the nation's capital and around the country as well. For example, take a look at this rolling fog over San Francisco here. You can't even really see the city, but that is a live shot of what it looks like over there in San Francisco. I had been hearing there was heavy fog there for the past couple of days, as is the Midwest going through a big weather kind of turbulence these days. Lots of rain and tornado watches in the Midwest. And then this is over on the Pacific coast, so heavy fog there. I'm going to bring it back here. We have an interesting show for you today. A lot of politics per usual, but today, pretty interesting. It's the National Day of Prayer in addition to Star Wars Day. So President Trump is in the Rose Garden of the White House. He'll be signing a religious freedom, a religious liberties executive order, free speech and religious liberties having to do with the First Amendment. He'll also be in the Rose Garden for the National Day of Prayer, giving some sort of ceremony. So we'll throw it over to that once we have that up live. We also have some interesting information. If you guys have been following along with our show, we've been bringing you that continued coverage of the escaped prisoner in Howard County, who last Friday escaped the clutches of police patrols on his way to a psychiatric hospital in Howard County. And he was just found late last night, around 10 p.m. They were able to track him down in a storm drain. So really, really interesting sort of discussion of this capture. And we have a press conference that just happened earlier to bring that to you so we can kind of round out that case. Over and done with. David Watson now back in custody. He was given more than 100 years in prison. They're saying that his escape was not premeditated and it just sort of happened impromptu, and that no one else was working with him. But we have a whole discussion from police later on in the show. We'll bring that to you. But for now, live on the Hill right now, Nancy Pelosi is giving her weekly media address. And that is live, so we'll go over there just for a second while we wait for the president in the Rose Garden. Here's Nancy Pelosi.
We could never pass the bill that I said, tomorrow morning we're going to vote on this. That's just not the Democratic Party. It might be the Republican Party. So, but you point out the hypocrisy of what they are doing. Hours, from last night to today, a matter of hours, not even a full day, they're putting forth a bill. Some of the one of the members has quoted and saying, read the bill? No. Some of my staff have read part of it, others have read others of it. No, I don't think any members have read the whole bill. That's what staff is for. That was one of the Republican members. So this is, I always find with the Republicans, including the President of the United States, that their modus operandi is to project. We're going to say about you what is probably likely we would do ourselves. And that's what they did. They put forth a bill, no CBO report, but they were demanding one for us, and we were demanding it ourselves. So it was like, yeah, of course we'll have a CBO report. We can't ask our members to vote for something that they don't know what it is. And so, yeah, I know, let's be gentle and say it's totally inconsistent. And shall we say, a softening of their sotto voce, as we would say in Italian, of their loud voices, that they had to have a CBO report, and you had to have 3 days notice, and you would always have transparency, and everyone would read the bill. But you know what? That's incidental. What is important is that the consequence of it. The American people will not know at the time of this vote what the cost it is in terms of coverage and in terms of their out-of-pocket, their the tax on them, what it does to Medicare, that it does not cover pre-existing conditions, no matter how many times they say it. And that, and so we have to stay focused on that, on the substance of it, not the process. But the process affects what the public knows. Transparency is a big thing, and now the public knows who their congressperson is and what he or she did in their interest or in the interest of providing a tax break for the wealthiest people in our country. I think the speaker's coming in off 2 minutes, right? So, anyway.
Leader,
yes, sir.
I can more.
Just quickly, in the middle of this debate, a lot of the insurance companies have pulled out of Obamacare, and Republicans are. Virginia just today, Iowa this week. Do you see those decisions as coincidental? A lot of Republicans are pointing to those decisions as the reason that they're flipping their votes this week. Or do you see that as
let me just say this.
the
The Republicans in Congress are a yes for transfer of wealth from the middle class to the top, to the wealthiest corporations and people in our country. Everything else is an excuse. Well, I was a no until I found out that they were going to cover 1% of the people on pre-existing conditions. Oh, really? That's a reason to change? That's a reason to stay a no. So there's a lot of, shall we say, kabuki here. But the kabuki doesn't kind of play back home. And we're going to make sure that people are aware of the inconsistency of it all. One of the first companies to pull out Humana, they had 157,000 policyholders. 157,000. Press made it look like the sun, the moon, and the stars. Part of the unease of some of the insurance companies now relates to the fact that there's uncertainty as whether the president will cover the cost that are there. And hopefully he will do the responsible thing because it's only going to cost the taxpayer more if he doesn't. I don't think they were totally aware of that. I said to them, it's going to cost the taxpayer more. They said, no, we're going to save money because we're not covering. I said, no, you're going to lose money because you have to increase the subsidies.
But you don't think it's political calculation on behalf of the companies themselves?
You have to ask them, but I think they would like to stay in, but they have to have a little more certainty. One of the reasons when we talk about single payer and we talk about the bill, this was a market-oriented bill. You have to have some certainty in the marketplace for people to stay. If you don't want that, you go to single payer or public option. But the fact is, this is a private sector initiative with an individual mandate, and it works, unless you as the majority in the White House decide that you're going to place uncertainty as to whether the funds will continue to flow, and whether you're going to stop funding navigators to reach out to people to sign up, to do the outreach, to increase the pool, which always makes the pool healthier and the cost lower. Some of those kinds of things. Okay? Well,
Leader, I have a good last question for you. Have you had any conversations with the Republican colleagues over the last couple hours that lead you to hold out hope that there might not be enough votes to pass this bill? Or is it a done deal in your mind?
Hope that they don't want to tattoo themselves with a bill that will forever be held against them? No. There are people who have said to me, why do you keep stopping this, trying to stop this bill? Let them pass it. Now, I don't like that because we're first and foremost looking after the American people. But as has been indicated, there's very little chance that this bill will be passed by the Senate. So they're making a very bad move. I'm easy either way. If they do it, it gives us a chance to say, okay, public, this is what they have done. This isn't what we said they would do, or you thought they might. This is what they have done. And so that's important. And it's important for our country, for our democracy, for people to understand what Martin Luther King, and I'll end with this. Martin Luther King said, the ballot, the ballot, the ballot, legislation, 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 your life, your life, your life. People have to see that elections have ramifications in their lives. And this is probably one of the most personal manifestations of that connection between the ballot and their lives. But Martin Luther King also said, of all the forms of injustice and inequality, the most shocking and unfair is the inequality in healthcare, because people can do it. Thank you all.
Thank you.
So that was Nancy Pelosi in her weekly address. And I do see this Rose Garden White House event starting. So President Trump is set to sign a religious order, an executive order as part of a group of religious liberties to ease the ban on political activity for churches and other tax-exempt institutions. That is what he'll be signing today, in addition to, I think, hosting this type of ceremony for the National Day of Prayer. This is in the Rose Garden at the White House. So right behind, in the White House, right behind that the sort of front area. And then if you go behind, there's that beautiful Rose Garden that some people have privy to sometimes for events. I know our reporters have been there as well to take note of events. So we're going to bring you there now. It looks like there's a little bit of a performance going on. Check it out right here.
There are no words to express the honor that it is to stand here with you, before you, and to pray with you today. And the only words I know are to say thank you to all who are making this possible. And thank you, of course, to our President Trump, and this incredible privilege that we have today. And finally, to just say thank you, God, for your indescribable gift, the gift of prayer, the gift of access to our Creator, to Almighty God. And I'd love to celebrate that with this prayer that Jesus taught us to pray, and invite you to join me in your heart, or even with your voice, if you want to, at some point in this song. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from
If you guys are checking in with us on YouTube or Facebook, we are bringing you live at the Rose Garden in the White House. It looks like there's a little performance preceding President Trump coming out. He'll be signing an executive order today on religious liberties. Now, the National Day of Prayer is actually a annual tradition on the first Thursday of May. It was established in modern times in 1952 by U.S. Congress. So it is an official observance today. The National Day of Prayer happens to fall on May 4th as well, Star Wars Day. So two little holidays today. But we will be coming up on President Trump next. It looks like they are wrapping up this performance. So stay with us. Leave your comments below if you have them.
None.
Ladies and gentlemen, Pastor Paula White.
Good morning. It is so good to have all of our guests, our distinguished guests, and especially our cabinet members here with us today. Secretary Mnuchin, Secretary Ross, Secretary Shulkin, Secretary Carson, Secretary Price, Secretary Acosta, and Secretary Perdue. The Bible says in 2 Chronicles chapter 7, verse 14, "If my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven and I will forgive their sin and heal their land." It's within this spirit that I welcome you to the 66th Annual National Day of Prayer commemoration. Though this year, the event begins at the Rose Garden in the White House. Each year on the first Thursday of May, by an act of Congress and by an annual proclamation of the President, our nation is called together to pray. This is a very sacred day for us. Though rarely has it been honored as it will be this morning, in your presence and in the presence of the President and the Vice President of the United States. Even rarer still, will prayers actually be prayed here on the lawn of the White House. For this special event, we have many distinguished guests in our presence, including, as you just heard, 5-time Grammy Award-winning and 50-time Dove Award-winning artist Stephen Curtis Chapman, whose music has already blessed us as we arrive today. We will also now be led in prayer by 3 of our nation's most distinguished religious leaders. Dr. Jack Graham, a past president of the Southern Baptist Convention and the pastor of Prestonwood Baptist Church in Dallas, Texas. His Eminence Cardinal Dolan Worrell, Archbishop of Washington, D.C., and Rabbi Marvin Heyer, the founder and dean of the Simon Wiesenthal Center in Los Angeles, California.
Would you pray with me? We do humble ourselves before you, our great God. We thank you for your amazing grace that brought us into your family and brought us here together today. For your love that restores and renews us and this nation in times like these. How we thank you for your provision and protection in our lives and upon our nation. We pray for President Trump and his family. We pray for Vice President Pence and his family and members of cabinet. We pray that you would give them wisdom and strength and guidance as they make decisions that lead the way to restoring America and renewing our hopes in you. We do know, O God, that our ultimate hope is in you and you alone. You are our life, and you are our only hope. We pray for one another that we would be strong in our own faith and our commitment and our courage to obey you. And we remember on this day those who suffer and those who hurt, especially those today we remember who are persecuted for their faith. And we pray that you would comfort them and bless them. We ask you, O God, that every life, all of us, O God, would do our part where we live and how we serve in expressing your love to people. Now unto him who is able to do exceedingly abundantly above all that we can ask or think or hope. To him be glory in the church throughout all ages, forever and ever. And we pray this in the dear name of Jesus. Amen.
In the prologue of St. John's Gospel, we read, "The light shines in the darkness that did not overcome it." Let us pray, good and gracious God. You have revealed your glory, a light to all nations. Grant us to persevere in works of your mercy, conduct ourselves always in the way of salvation, always free to walk in your light. Father of all creation, you made us in your image and set us over the works of your hands. Once you chose a people and gave them a destiny. And when you brought them out of bondage to freedom, they carried with them the promise that all people would be blessed and all would be free. It happened to our fathers who came to this land, into a place of promise and hope. It happens to us still in our time, as you lead all people to the blessed vision of peace, walking in the freedom of your light. Just as we have been called out of darkness into Christ's marvelous light, let us turn to him in humble but fervent petition, seeking the grace to root out from our hearts all traces of anything that holds us back from walking in the full freedom of the children of God, walking together arm in arm, walking together in the fullness of peace, in the fullness of freedom, mindful of those who do not experience the same freedom we do. God, our loving Creator, from your provident hand, we have received our right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. You have called us as your people and given us the right and the duty to worship you in spirit and in truth. We ask you now on this National Day of Prayer, bless us. Bless us in our vigilance for the gift of religious liberty. Give us the strength of mind and heart to always stand for our freedoms, the freedoms of people everywhere in the world, whenever they are threatened, and give us courage to make our voices heard on behalf of all of those people today who suffer persecution simply because of their faith. And make us always voices in defense of the freedom of conscience of all people. We ask you now, Father, Father of light, wisdom, justice, to whom authority is rightly administered, laws are enacted, and judgments decreed, assist with your Holy Spirit of counsel and fortitude the President of the United States, Donald Trump, that his administration may be conducted in righteousness, be eminently useful to your people over whom he presides, by encouraging due respect for virtue and morality, and by a faithful execution of the laws of mercy and justice. Grant all of this, we pray, Heavenly Father, that for our sake, for the sake of our children and their children, and all who come after us, that this great land may always be one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And this we pray in the name of Christ, our Lord and Savior. Amen.
Eternal God, the God of our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, bless our President, Donald Trump, and Vice President Pence, and the members of the Cabinet, and all the men and women and children of this great country of ours. On this National Day of Prayer, let us take note of the first exchange between man and God recorded in Genesis. And they heard the sound of the Almighty manifesting itself in the garden. And God called out to Adam, "Where are you?" And Adam replied, "I heard the sound in the garden, and I was afraid." Yes, says the psalmist, there is much to be afraid, because the heavens belong to God, but the earth and responsibility for what happens here belongs to man, reminding us that men and women created in the image of God did not arrive on this planet as hitchhikers with no commitment to a past and no stake in a future, imploring us never to treat the law as our enemy and immorality as a friend. Shield us from those who worship self-interest as their deity, while regarding communal responsibility as a burden. While everyone has the right to own his dreams, no one's dreams should include a license to hate. Teach us, O Heavenly Father, the truth expressed in the Torah, that tall is he who still bends down to the meek, and that a man too big to respect his past is a man too small to inherit the future. That every man created in the image of God should know that for every achievement there is a price, for every goal there is an opponent, for every triumph a sacrifice, but that the cause of freedom and human dignity renders defenseless the opponent, small the price, and worthy of every human being's sacrifice. Amen.
Now it is my privilege to introduce to you one of our nation's most committed advocates for religious freedom and a longtime friend to many of us here today, the Vice President of the United States.
If you guys are just joining us on Facebook or YouTube, you're watching a very special event in the Rose Garden of the White House. You can leave your comments below to tell us what you think. President Trump will be signing an executive order on religious liberties, and today is the National Day of Prayer, so it happens every year on the first Thursday of May. Every first Thursday of May since 1952, the president has signed a proclamation encouraging Americans of all faith to pray.
It is the National Day of Prayer. And on behalf of the President of the United States and the First Family, welcome to the White House. To Pastor Paula White, Pastor Jack Graham, Cardinal Wuerl, Rabbi Heyer, and to all our distinguished guests, the President and I are honored by your presence and grateful for your prayers. From the founding of this nation, Americans have claimed that ancient promise that if his people, who are called by his name, will humble themselves and pray and seek his face, that he will hear from heaven and heal their land. In 1775, the Second Continental Congress established a day of fasting and prayer. President Abraham Lincoln similarly urged Americans to pray so that, in his words, the united cry of the nation will be heard on high and answered with blessing. In 1952, President Harry Truman and the Congress formally established this National Day of Prayer as a time set aside each year for the American people to turn to God in prayer and meditation. Every president has issued a proclamation in honor of this day ever since, but not every president has done so in the Rose Garden at the White House. Today, our president will continue that great tradition to proclaim the importance of prayer to the American people and to reaffirm the vital role that institutions and people of faith play in our national life. Our president is a believer. He loves his family and he loves his country with an unshakable faith in God and the American people. So with gratitude for that faith and for the actions that he takes today and every day, it is now my high honor and distinct privilege to introduce to all of you the President of the United States of America, President Donald Trump.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much to Vice President Mike Pence. I am very fortunate to have Mike with me. He's a man of very deep faith, I can tell you that. Great character and conviction, and Mike, thank you very much for making this journey with me and with all of us, believe me. It's been great to have you. I also want to thank Pastor Jack Graham, Cardinal Donald Wuerl, and Rabbi Marvin Heyer for leading us so beautifully in prayer. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. I also want to mention, as you know, Cardinal Donato and all of the other great faith leaders that we have. I see Franklin Graham. So many are here, so many great friends, so many great supporters, and we very much appreciate it because we're a nation of believers. Faith is deeply embedded into the history of our country, the spirit of our founding, and the soul of our nation. It is a beautiful thing to see these three faith leaders from three very different faith traditions come together to lift up our nation in prayer. And it's great to do it at the White House, isn't it? Isn't that great? Because not only are we a nation of faith, but we're a nation of tolerance. As we look at the violence around the world, and believe me, it's violent. I get to see it perhaps better than anybody. We realize how truly blessed we are to live in a nation that honors the freedom of worship. Today, my administration is leading by example as we take historic steps to protect religious liberty in the United States of America. We will not allow people of faith to be targeted, bullied, or silenced anymore. And we will never, ever stand for religious discrimination. Never, ever. Tolerance is the cornerstone of peace. And that is why I am proud to make a major and historic announcement this morning and to share with you that my first foreign trip as President of the United States will be to Saudi Arabia, then Israel, and then to a place that my cardinals love very much, Rome. These visits will take place ahead of the NATO G7 meetings and will begin with a truly historic gathering in Saudi Arabia with leaders from all across the Muslim world. Saudi Arabia is the custodian of the two holiest sites in Islam, and it is there that we will begin to construct a new foundation of cooperation and support with our Muslim allies to combat extremism, terrorism, and violence, and to embrace a more just and hopeful future for young Muslims in their countries. Our task is not to dictate to others how to live, but to build a coalition of friends and partners who share the goal of fighting terrorism and bringing safety, opportunity, and stability to the war-ravaged Middle East. We all pray that we can make a difference. We pray for peace. Just over 150 years ago, President Lincoln called for a national day of prayer today, after he feared that we were becoming a nation too proud to pray to the God that made us. Today we recall President Lincoln's words as we sign a proclamation designating today as National Day of Prayer. That's what we want, a National Day of Prayer. And it's so great to be doing it in the Rose Garden. How beautiful is that? It was looking like you'd never get here, folks, but you got here. Thank you. Thank you very much. So true. And we remember this eternal truth. Freedom is not a gift from government. Freedom is a gift from God. It was Thomas Jefferson who said, "The God who gave us life gave us liberty." Our founding fathers believed that religious liberty was so fundamental that they enshrined it in the very First Amendment of our great and beloved Constitution. Yet for too long, the federal government has used the power of the state as a weapon against people of faith, bullying and even punishing Americans for following their religious beliefs. That's been happening. That is why I am signing today an executive order to defend the freedom of religion and speech in America, the freedoms that we've wanted, the freedoms that you fought for so long, and we are doing it in just a little while right over here. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you. No American should be forced to choose between the dictates of the federal government and the tenets of their faith. As I campaigned across the country, faith leaders explained that they were prevented from speaking their minds because of a 1954 rule known as the Johnson Amendment. I spoke about it a lot. Under this rule, if a pastor, priest, or imam speaks about issues of public or political importance, they are threatened with the loss of their tax-exempt status, a crippling financial punishment. Very, very unfair. But no longer. I promised to take action if I won. If I didn't win, I gave you no promise, that's for sure. If I didn't win, I guess I'd be gone, right? I'd be out enjoying my life, I think. But I wouldn't be helping you with the Johnson Amendment. And to this end, this financial threat against the faith community is over. In just a few moments, I will be signing an executive order to follow through on that pledge and to prevent the Johnson Amendment from interfering with your First Amendment rights. And you're the people I want to listen to. Other people are allowed to tell me and everybody what to do. I want to hear it from you. And so do a lot of other people. So you're now in a position where you can say what you want to say. And I know you'll only say good, and you'll say what's in your heart. And that's what we want from you. You are great, great people. You are great, great people. Thank you. Thank you. This executive order directs the IRS not to unfairly target churches and religious organizations for political speech. No one should be censoring sermons or targeting pastors. And I know one thing, it never stopped Dr. Ben Carson. He said, the heck with the Johnson Amendment, right, Ben? I've been with Ben, and he did what he wanted to do. But not everybody's going to do that, Ben. You know that, right? In America, we do not fear people speaking freely from the pulpit. We embrace it. America has a rich tradition of social change beginning in our pews and our pulpits. Perhaps there is no greater example than the historic role of the African American church as the agent for social progress, spurring our nation to greater justice and equality. We must never infringe on the noble tradition of change from the church and progress from the pew. Thank you. Thank you. Under my administration, free speech does not end at the steps of a cathedral or a synagogue or any other house of worship. We are giving our churches their voices back. We are giving them back in the highest form. With this executive order, we also make clear that the federal government will never, ever penalize any person for their protected religious beliefs. That is why I am today directing the Department of Justice to develop new rules to ensure these religious protections are afforded to all Americans. There are more than 50 religious Americans and groups sued the previous, and you've seen that, 50 sued the previous administration for violating their religious freedom. The abuses were widespread. The abuses were all over. As just one example, people were forbidden from giving or receiving religious items at a military hospital where our brave service members were being treated, and when they wanted those religious items. These were great, great people. These are great soldiers. They wanted those items. They were precluded from getting them. And we know all too well the attacks against the little sisters of the poor. Incredible nuns who care for the sick, the elderly, and the forgotten. Where are they, by the way? Where are they? Could you stand, sister? Stand. Come on up here, sister. Come on up. Right? Come on up. So nice. Congratulations, they sort of just won a lawsuit. That was pretty good. That's a good way of doing it, huh? Well, I want you to know that your long ordeal will soon be over. Okay? It's been a long, hard ordeal. We've all been watching. Some of you have been very much involved. A lot of us have been watching the news for years. And 5 years. You had good lawyers?
Excellent.
Huh? Where are your lawyers? Stand up. Come on, stand up. Good job. Do you mind if I use your lawyers for various things? I could use some good lawyers too. Good job. Great job. With this executive order, we are ending the attacks on your religious liberty, and we are proudly reaffirming America's leadership role as a nation that protects religious freedom for everyone. Okay? Great. Over 60 years ago, the IRS went after one of the greatest leaders in history, Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. It is a sobering reminder of the need for vigilance. The words of Reverend King and other religious leaders have awakened the conscience of millions and millions of Americans and inspired us to act in the name of peace, justice, freedom, and charity. Every president must work to protect, and we have to do this. We have no choice to do this. We have absolutely no choice to protect these hard-fought gains. They have been hard fought. They have been fought for so many years, for so many decades, for so many centuries. And this is a very special day, perhaps, for that reason. And that's why we're here today, to defend the rights of all Americans, to honor our great Constitution, and to protect the sacred liberties given to us, not by any earthly power, but by our Creator in heaven. I'd like to thank all of you great, great religious leaders for being with us today. We have some of our political leaders, you can have them. They know. And today's a very big day. We have a big vote coming up in a little while. And I thought it was very appropriate that it turned out to be you folks, and then I have to deal with those politicians. But they're good. I will tell you, they're good. They work very hard, and hopefully we're going to have a wonderful day and a wonderful vote, and we're going to take care of a lot of people, great, great people from this country with their health care needs. And we hope to be able to do that, and we have all fought very hard to be able to do that. So I want to say to everybody in attendance and everybody in our country and everybody in the world, God bless you and God bless America. Thank you all very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, we can gather around. All right. Right here? Come around. Okay. This is National Day of Prayer. We like that, don't we? Huh? National Day of Prayer. Proclamation. So who's getting this pen, Mr. Vice President? Huh? How about in honor of Dr. Martin Luther King? Is that a good idea? This is promoting and the promotion of free speech and religious liberty. That's a big one. That's as big as it gets, right? Where's Paula? Right behind you, sir. Paula, she's worked so hard. Absolutely. 2 years she's worked so hard.
And if you guys are just joining us here on Facebook or on YouTube, you're watching live coverage of the president himself in the Rose Garden. He's rounding out this event.
Very special. These are two very, very special executive orders, and an honor to have everybody here. And thank you all so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Where you just saw him sign, it was sort of a twofold event. You saw him sign two things. The first was a National Day of Prayer proclamation that every president since Harry Truman in 1952 has signed on the first Thursday of May to encourage Americans to pray of all faiths. Second fold, he signed a religious liberties executive order that would ease the ban on political activity for churches and tax-exempt organizations of the like. So thanks for joining us here on Facebook and YouTube, guys. Leave your comments below. I know this has generated a lot of comments in our section here. And don't forget to keep joining us here on our Facebook page for more live news and breaking events. We're always going to bring them to you here on this page. And you can also subscribe to our YouTube channel, Fox 5 DC, to make sure you get those pop-ups for when breaking news is going to happen. I'm going to leave it here, and then we'll close it out with a shot of the White House. But again, guys, thanks for joining us. You saw President Trump speak in the Rose Garden. He did announce his first foreign trip while in office. That'll be to Saudi Arabia, Israel, and then he mentioned Rome. And I was just reading on Twitter he'll be visiting with the Pope on May 24th in Vatican City. So thanks again for watching, guys, live here in the Rose Garden from the White House. I'm Molly here in the newsroom for Fox 5 DC.
Sure. Which one? Hey, I want you to make it tonight. Straight up. Make sure he gets an invitation tonight. Of course. Yeah. Thank you.
Andrew?
Good job, Jack.
Andrew?
Nailed it. You did too, Paul. Wonderful job.
Thank you.
I've been telling everybody, I'm so proud of you. Absolutely. I am so grateful to God, and you've been a faithful man. And here you are, serving Christ in this place. Anything I can do for you, just call.
All right, guys, thanks again for joining us on YouTube. Sorry about the mini break right there. I want to bring it back to the newsroom here. So thanks again for watching our digital show. I am Molly Nevola here bringing you live events that are happening throughout the day, so you can kind of see on your lunch break and check in with us here in the newsroom. So I want to bring it over now to another story that we've been covering. If you guys have been following our story or just our coverage in general on these live press conferences regarding the escaped prisoner in Howard County. Now, we published this video earlier this morning on our Facebook page, but if you missed it, at 9:30 today, police gave an official press conference on the result of this capture. They captured the guy, David Watson, age 28, last night in a storm drain, which is what people were kind of expecting. They were sort of wondering how he was hiding out and how that was actually possible, how his escape actually worked out. So I'm not sure how many details they've figured out yet, but they did complete the capture last night around 9:40 p.m. And then this morning they were able to brief the press on what exactly happened and discuss sort of the capture in general, what happened when Watson escaped police on Friday, ran into that large wooded area in Howard County, leaving lots of questions unanswered, and a large, wide search, a manhunt that continued throughout the weekend into this week. Lots of canine dogs, patrols, tons of horses out there looking for this guy. So that was a pretty scary incident. I want to bring you now to that press conference so you can kind of see how that all wrapped up earlier this morning with further details from the police. Check it out.
Good morning. Thank you all for joining us this morning so that we can share with you our good news from overnight. It has been a challenging 6 days, but we are happy to report that we have concluded our search for the prisoner who escaped in Howard County on Friday. I'm going to turn the microphone over to our Chief of Police, Gary Gardner. It's Gardner, Gary L. Gardner, Chief of Police.
Thank you, Sherry. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here. Before I get started, I do want to recognize who is with us today behind me. As you know, Howard County officers arrested the escapee last night, David Watson. However, we were not working alone. This was a team effort from agencies at the federal, state, and local level. And I just want to introduce some of the partners who are with us today. I have with us from the Maryland State Police, Lieutenant Colonel Frank Leo. From the U.S. Marshal Service, Assistant Commander Matt Burke. The Maryland National Resources Police, Lieutenant Colonel Ernest Leatherberry. From the Anne Arundel County Police, Captain Frank Toohey. Howard County Sheriff, Phil McMahon. In addition to those agencies, we also had assistance over the 6-day period with the CSX Police, Carroll County Sheriff's Office, Maryland Department of Corrections, and Howard County Fire and Rescue. So as you can see, it was clearly a team effort of Maryland law enforcement and also from our federal partners. Last night, a Howard County Police tactical team arrested David Watson in a wooded area off Dorsey Run Road after the 6-day search. Our search expanded significantly yesterday after a 911 call was placed by a worker in a business in the 8200 block of Dorsey Run Road at about 9:30. That caller reported spotting a man on the railroad tracks behind the building in the 8200 block of Dorsey Run Road. The man was wearing a white hard hat, a safety vest, and dark colored pants. When this person spotted him, he ran back into the woods. We arrived on the scene. Immediately with our partners we reached out to, they responded promptly. Search efforts, extensive search efforts commenced at that time. We had bloodhounds, aviation support from many jurisdictions. We had tracking teams that scoured that entire area. From the search efforts, it appeared that the suspect had been traveling at least a mile and a half in a northerly direction from Perkins, in an easterly direction, and a west direction. So he had been covering an area anywhere from 1 to 2 miles in either direction from the actual site of where the escape occurred. Last night, as darkness fell, a plan was in place to strategically place officers and teams in areas that we believe the suspect had been moving back and forth. And at about 9:40 p.m. last night, tactical officers, while in the area that we had been checking earlier in the day, were able to use night vision equipment and in about a 20-inch diameter drainage pipe located the suspect. The officers immediately took him into custody. There was a slight struggle during that time in which he was taken into custody. Overall, he's in good health and was transported to the Howard County Detention Center. We have been in contact with Delaware. They are aware that he's now in custody. We have indication and have had conversations with Watson last night. I'm not going to go into all of those details other than to say that he was cooperative, and we have some preliminary information about the areas that he was traveling while he was on the run for that 6-day period. And that's how we confirmed that he was in about a 1 to 2 mile radius from Perkins, where the incident first evolved. We are working right now with authorities from Delaware, the Marshal Service, in regards to the transport of Watson back to Delaware, and those arrangements will be finalized later today. I'll take questions, but prior to that, I want to introduce our county executive for some brief comments, and then I'll take questions. Mr. Alan Kittleman.
Thank you, Chief Gardner. I just want to say briefly, on behalf of the residents of Howard County, and I'm sure I can speak about the other adjoining counties, we appreciate what our law enforcement has done to secure this person. It certainly was a time of challenge for them, and they've done a great job. I want to thank our federal, our state, and our other local partners, and of course Sheriff McMahon and Chief Gardner. What I've heard, what they've gone through over the last 6 days, they have not left any stone unturned, and they continue to go through things and trials that I can't imagine anyone else going through, but they never stopped. They kept persevering, and they were successful. And so I appreciate all their hard work, and I just want to make sure everybody in Howard County knows we are very fortunate to have such officers in our county. And today you see this blue line in front of you. Today is also a day we'll be honoring our fallen heroes in the police department, and just reminds us that what they go through every day to make sure that we're safe. And we should always be remembering that and honoring them all the time. Thank you very much, Chief.
Thank you, sir. At this time, we will go ahead and answer a few questions that we're able to. Yes, ma'am.
Good morning, Chief. Annie from Fox 5. Can you tell more about the conditions in which Watson was found in? We know that there were some packing materials found inside this tunnel. Can you talk more about some of the objects and items that were found inside and what they might have been used for?
Okay, I mean, I wouldn't refer to them as tunnels. They were drainage pipes, and he was in an area about 0.2 of a mile from Perkins in a large drain pipe about 40 inches, I believe, in diameter, where he had taken some wood fiber packing material in bags and had laid them in that pipe, and that appeared to be where he was bedding down.
Did he have any food or water or anything to survive on?
From conversations last night during the interview, he said he had been eating out of trash cans and also drinking water from puddles.
Were there any other areas, any other pipes or any other areas where you had an indication that he might have been hunkering down similar items like what was found in the pipe? You said you put teams strategically in
spots where you thought he might be operating in?
I will say that there were things from the bloodhound trails, as well as some footprints that we have been looking at that had given us an indication that he had been going in both directions, and that's why we were in the area that we were. As far as the drainage pipes, there are a large number of drainage pipes in these areas. Some are ones that we are aware of through our Department of Public Works that we have been working with, and Fire and Rescue had helped us out with that. But in addition to that, there's also some private drainage on some of these properties that he had also apparently been going to. It appears as though from the conversations with him that he had been moving back and forth continually. He did not bed down for long periods of time. He was moving back and forth.
You said there was a brief struggle when he was arrested. Can you go into detail about that? Did he say anything? What was done? Any of that?
When we spotted him, you have to understand it's a small pipe. He was in there, and so when he saw us, we identified, we pulled him out of the pipe. It's about a little bit of a drop off there. It wasn't like it was a violent struggle.
Did he resist, Chief? Is that fair to say? Did he resist at first?
I think that mild resistance, yes. It was not like there was a violent fight.
And does it appear that that was the only pipe he was using? Were there other pipes in the area that he was?
There were many other pipes in the area that he was probably using throughout that 6-day period. The one, was he bedding down every day in that one pipe? We don't know that for sure, but it appears that he had been using that.
What did he do for warmth? Like, did he have blankets? Was he stealing clothes? Did he get close to any residents' homes?
I will tell you that the clothing that he was wearing, well, let me back up. The initial report that started the search, hard hat and vest, they were not recovered when he was apprehended last night. So we are aware of a storage building nearby that he had broken into. That building has white hard hats that was described by the witness. Also, clothing and lockers were there. So we believe that he actually had taken some clothing from there as well as that hard hat, and it also used that area as well as a resting place.
Did he have handcuffs and shackles on him at all?
He did not have any restraints or shackles on him when he was arrested.
Did he say anything about accomplices, about where he might have been headed, or do you have any?
I don't have that information. I really, as Sherry Llewellyn described earlier in release, from the beginning, we weren't sure if this was an impulsive, spontaneous escape attempt, and that's what we believe today. We do not believe that there's been any assistance provided to him, or this was a long-term plan. Based on our conversations, without going into details, we believe this is something that evolved during that transport.
Going back to Friday, do we know
I'm sorry?
physically how he escaped?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Physically, how did he escape? Do we know this at this point?
He removed himself from the restraints while in the van. That's all I can say at this point.
How would he be able to do something like that? There were wrist shackles as well as a waist shackles, was that leg shackles? And he was in a transport van. I mean, in terms of the investigation, where does that stand, that something like this could happen while in custody?
Sure. That is something that will be looked in. That's an administrative review, and I'd have to refer you to the Wacomico County Detention Center for that. But there will be and is going to be an internal investigation to look into those issues.
On Monday, when the search was called off, locals sort of got the idea that he was no longer in the area, maybe in southern Maryland or Delaware. How does finding him so close to the psych hospital square with the idea that he's not in the area anymore?
Well, a lot of people were speculating. You know, if you were following social media, you saw a lot of people making assumptions that he definitely had to have help on the outside, everything. I think the people who reside in that area, the people in many of the businesses, they knew that we had not left the area. We were there each and every day. We had conducted aviation support missions throughout the night using different technologies in seeking him, as well as going through business by business over the weekend and on Monday, reminding people that if they have a car that's broken into, if they have anything that's suspicious around their facility, to contact us immediately so we can follow up. What was concerning to us that no one had reported anything in the early stages of this investigation. So yesterday was a major breakthrough for us.
Did you say he's going back to Wacomico today?
No, he is not going back to Wicomico. He will be returned to Delaware, but those arrangements will be finalized later today.
There are a lot of industrial buildings. Why not? Did they help with this search at all? And what role did they play after they moved them off?
Wicomico's role was simply in the transport of this prisoner to Clifton T. Perkins. They've cooperated with us during the investigation that we've had ongoing, but as far as in the actual search, they have not been involved in that.
Chief, to confirm, yesterday was the first sighting, first tip that you guys had of Mr. Watts.
That was the first sighting and tip that led us to this expansive search yesterday, correct.
Chief, there are a lot of industrial buildings in that area. Did you guys pull any surveillance video or anything to help with the investigation?
That was part of what we were doing when we went business to business, asking each of those businesses to check their perimeter cameras, looking for any breach in fencing. There, in several of the businesses, there are many tractor trailers that are on location. We know that sometimes people leave those unsecured, as well as the potential for breaking into a trailer or storage facility like we referred to where he was actually in at one point. Those are things that we wanted to accomplish in making those checks throughout the period of the search.
Was he caught on surveillance video in that storage facility?
Not that I'm aware of now.
Can you talk more about how crucial the tip caller was? I know you all spent a lot of time, a lot of days, a lot of efforts in the search, but I think the ground search was suspended at one point, and so the tip coming in sort of revamped the search. Can you talk a little bit more about how crucial that was to the investigation?
Well, it was very crucial. But first I want to point out, while you mentioned that the ground search was suspended,
Still following up on leads.
the bottom line is that our focus was still on apprehending him. We shifted our focus to other things. That's why the Marshal Service was called in. They have other resources because we were looking to expand our search efforts. But we continued in that area throughout the entire 6-day period. We did not leave. We were looking and hoping for signs that he was in the area. Where he was, we didn't know. Many of the drain pipes that we looked at yesterday were looked at in day one. So as he confirmed for us last night, he had continually been moving around, primarily using the wooded area, some of the drain pipes that he would rest in, moving back and forth in a northeast and westerly direction.
Any time of the tracking, did you guys use K9?
Yes.
Canines were used from several jurisdictions as well as bloodhounds.
Can you give us a better idea of where this pipe is exactly? Do you have a block number? We know Dorsey Run Road, and it's a wooded area. I mean, a heavily wooded area. Kind of describe exactly where we're talking about.
If you were up on Google Earth, you would see that it's a heavily wooded area along the railroad trail there. I do have a photograph, and also I think we are providing those via the internet and social media. The actual drain pipe, just to give you an idea of where he was actually apprehended, is here. As I mentioned, it's about 20 inches in diameter. He was laying there face front when officers spotted him. The large drain pipe that he was bedding down is here, and you can see the pellet packets that he was laying on while he was resting during that period. So the actual site where he was arrested is approximately a half mile from the rear lot of Clifton T. Perkins where he had escaped.
One more question, folks. Anybody else?
The person who made the call gonna get the money?
The person who made that call will be receiving a reward. That is correct.
Okay, thank you. If anyone has any additional questions, you can contact my office and stay on social media.
And that seems to be the end of the presser, guys. Thanks for hanging on to us and joining us here with that.
Thank you very much.
Apologize for a little bit of the sound syncing, voice and picture being a little bit off with that. But that was a press conference from earlier this morning like I said, if you've been following that really interesting case about that escaped prisoner, just some interesting answers about how they found him half-mile from where they lost him in that parking lot. And that search went on 6 days. He was found in that storm drain, as he held a picture of at the end of that. So interesting stuff there. That case is now closed. It is done. Changing gears, have you guys been to the National Museum for African American Culture and History, or History and Culture rather, the newest Smithsonian museum on the Mall? I was able to go in October. I got a time ticket because I had to see it, and it's so beautiful. It's so beautifully done, and it's large and gorgeous and just modern. Just the modern structure is amazing, and the view is amazing. And I'm really grateful that I got to see it. I only got to see a small piece of it because it's so in depth. You really only get to see what you can hone in on in that moment. But I went for a few hour span when I was able to go in October, and I went right up to the music and the theater and the arts portion, which is just incredible. So there's still a lot I have to see with the history. But I do want to say one of the anchors from our sister station in Philadelphia, Fox 29, was able to take a little walk through history at the museum with her grandfather. And our photographer, Ronnie, here in-house in DC, shot it because we're local here. He was able to go down there and shoot just a gorgeous little package that I'm going to bring to you guys now from Fox 29 in Philadelphia. So check out this video.
Loved ones who are part of our daily lives. It's people that you spend so much time with, but have you really taken the time to get to know them or what makes them who they are? A couple of weeks ago, I went on a trip that helped show me the story of someone who is very dear to my heart. And together on this trip, I realized that through our history, I learned more about his story. Grandpa Holly. Hi, Grandpa.
Hi, Alec.
Since the day I was born, my grandfather and I have always had a special relationship. I love you.
Too. It's good to be here.
He's now 87 years old, and our relationship has only gotten stronger. Over the years, I've learned my grandfather isn't a man of many words, so when he does speak, you know it's with purpose. Recently, on a trip back home to Texas to visit him, we went on a road trip to Paris, Texas. While on the road, we drove past a cotton field. We pulled over, and at the side of that field, Grandpa started telling his story.
Now, it's here or there. They probably don't plow all this up.
He shared with me that he used to pick cotton on his family's land every fall, and he told me all he knew about the cotton crop.
And they have a big, long bag.
Yeah?
And just throw it in the sack.
Then he showed me how he used to pick it after school. You had to get down on your knees to do it?
Yeah, you crawl.
It was in that moment when I realized even though he's been there for me all throughout my life, there was a lot about my precious grandfather and his life I didn't know. Look at this fountain.
You always throw corn to the fountain.
What does that mean? Is that good luck?
Means you return.
It was after this trip my grandfather and I really started discussing going on a bigger trip together. One bigger than a Texas cotton field. We committed to going on a trip to visit the new African American Museum of History and Culture on the National Mall in Washington, D.C. Did you think in Washington, D.C. that we would have a museum dedicated to African Americans and all that they've contributed? Did you ever think you'd see this day?
No, I never dreamed that that would happen, especially in my lifetime.
I immediately knew I didn't want to just see it, but I wanted to see it with my grandfather, through my grandfather's eyes. Almost instantly, it felt like we were back on that road trip in Texas, where he was talking, where he was sharing.
I've actually used a plow like that.
Like this right here?
Yeah, classroom like that. Those are the kind of seats I had.
It doesn't look comfortable.
We never thought about comfort.
We started on the base floor of the museum, where our history starts with the slave trade. We saw the shackles that were slapped on our ancestors' wrists.
I've read about them. I've never actually seen them. They look like such hard iron.
And then Grandpa went back to his memories of growing up in Northeast Texas along the cotton belt. 28 pounds a day.
28 pounds a day.
Of cotton.
No, they pick more than that.
I learned that even though slavery had been over for years, when my grandpa was growing up, so you carried a bag like this.
Yeah.
Cotton was still a major crop in Texas.
Cotton I picked in a day was 100 pounds out of this.
You've picked 100 pounds of cotton.
Yeah.
What was that like on your hands?
Well, sometimes the burrs make your fingers sore.
I remember growing up, I used to think you had really rough hands, but they tell a story. As we move through the museum, we move through segments of our history and my grandpa's personal history.
See, the sign says colored and white, so yeah, the special water fountain, special restroom.
So you've seen signs like this one?
Yeah. You see, it says colored.
Yeah.
You saw that everywhere.
Even when my grandpa entered the service, he still received the same treatment.
I had to go around outside the bus station to a little hole in the wall and get a Coke and a hamburger. And what was so odd about this, I had on my uniform, I had lieutenant bars and all that.
Even though you were serving your country, you still didn't have any better rights.
No.
The interactive parts of the museum allowed him to experience parts of his history too. They would call them sit-ins, right?
Yeah, they beat you up. Yeah, you'd have to be real brave. It took courage.
The more we walked through the museum, the more Grandpa started to share with me.
It brings back memories, for sure.
Good memories or bittersweet?
Well, bittersweet, I guess you'd say. It was hard times.
But this museum doesn't just focus on the dark part of our history. We also saw the lighter moments when things started to look up and our pace started to pick up. You're moving fast.
He used to walk fast and he used to walk slow.
He shared what it was like to see Black people start a revolution of pride in the arts.
Sidney Poitier.
Remember James Brown, Say It Loud, and how it influenced our culture.
People resented didn't like to be called black until he put out that song, I'm Black and Proud, and everybody started singing, I'm Black and Proud.
Even down to Chuck Berry's convertible.
I've seen him perform.
You have in person?
Yeah.
After going through all of those memories, all of those emotions, we needed a moment to just sit and take it all in.
We are determined to work and fight.
In the middle of the museum, you find an oasis that they call the Contemplative Court. And Grandpa did what he always does when he visits a place he would like to see again.
Well, I'm going to talk to you if I want to come back.
Once we left the museum, I finally asked Grandpa, who was an educator for more than 35 years, why our history was so important to him.
School textbook writers would say the Black History part, they had to make it a kind of separate because some school boards would not buy the books if they put the Black History part in there.
Wow.
So I think this museum is real meaningful because so much of the story was denied and crushed.
So it's all right here. The history is here.
Yeah, it's all here.
All here in one place. So other granddaughters and grandfathers can come together and learn together.
And I think it's not just important for Black kids, it's important for all Americans to know.
Which, like the coin, will give us yet another reason to return. I do believe that trip changed my relationship with my grandfather in a good way. I learned so much about him, and I know that I'm grateful that he shared his story because he's so special to me. But I've learned I need to ask more questions. There's so much more that I need to learn about our history, his history, because it's important to know. And I know that my grandfather and we aren't alone because the African American Museum, they already have more than 1 million visitors, and it's only been open since September. So I'm so glad to hear that people are interested in learning about their history. And I like to think that it's more than a museum. It's really bringing other families together to learn and to experience history. And it's being called the hottest ticket in DC right now. So even though it takes a while to get one, it took me some months, even though they're free tickets, it's worth it to me. It's really worth the journey.
Wow. Super cool story right there. I'm glad you guys were able to watch that. I wanted to bring that to the show today. Such an awesome package done by one of our photographers and Alex, the anchor in Philadelphia. Really interesting story. And it's true. It's hard to get in. You can get those free tickets, but you wait a while. But it is just mesmerizing. And there are floors upon floors upon floors of history and like she showed, entertainment and music and even the contemplative room that I never made it to. I was able to see a lot of pieces of the museum that I still want to see from this video. So it's such a really, really cool package. I'm really glad they did that. Such a great thing for the morning show. So anyway, switching gears, let's go back to DC. We have our weather folks, our weather reporters, are all at National Stadium today. They're all at Nats Park for Weather Day, an annual gathering tradition. School kids are there to learn about the weather, and they're there talking. And Sue Palka, one of our weather women, she just put a live video up on Facebook. I'm going to bring that to you to kind of show a little behind the scenes of what's going on there at Nats Stadium. So let's take a look right here at Nats. This just happened moments.
Is a fun day for us here at Fox 5 because it's our 7th annual Weather Day with the Washington Nationals. I'll give you a peek at
going on here because we have all of these kids that have come out. We're waiting for the rest of the students to show up, and then we're going to do about a 1-hour presentation. Hi everybody! Talking about weather, giving away some prizes, and afterwards we do a meet and greet with the kids while they have their lunch, and then they get to watch the game, so it's really fun. You can see them all waving to you there. And we are really happy to be here. Yay! Thank you for coming on out.
because behind me you can see the Fox 5 weather team. We are getting ready to do our presentation, but the traffic is bad this morning, so we're still waiting for some of the kids to arrive. But
the stadium is really very exciting for us to get to be out here. Hello, Hamilton Eddie. It's happy birthday. Yes, I see that you were having your birthday today, and on Weather Day, we wish you were with us. They're preparing the field, working on the pitcher's mound, and here is our group from Fox 5. Let's go over here and say hi to everybody. There's the dugout. We've got all our stuff down there, and of course, then you can see the kids. We have 1,300 kids coming today, so we're excited about that. There's Mike Thomas.
What's up, everybody? We're on Facebook. We're on the Book of
Facebook.
Face.
I haven't done Facebook Live in forever.
Yeah.
And,
What is a good day to do it?
And I've got a whopping 10 people watching. So.
Hi, 10 people.
And say hi to Hamilton Eddie.
Hi, Hamilton. What's going on?
Yeah.
Ready for Nats Day?
Yeah.
We wish you were here, Hamilton.
And I miss Mike. He was working on the evening shift.
Oh, I know.
He's in the morning, the early bird. How are you handling the changeover to the early morning?
With lots of caffeine.
Yes, I would imagine that's the way you do it. There's Mr. Tucker Barnes. He's always good to boost the viewership too, like Mike. And we're ready to roll. We got some hard questions for the kids and some presentations. There's Wilson Seymour, and that's my daughter Liz in the green jacket. And you can see there's Caitlin, Chris Strong. I'm right there.
Chris Rock of weather.
That's exactly right. And Mike, they are all excited. Hi, Joanne. Thank you so much for saying hello.
Hi there. Hello. Who are we talking to? Facebook?
We're talking to just a handful of people on Facebook.
Okay.
We haven't been live in a long time. And there's Chris Strong. Chris is with the National Weather Service. Chris, what are you going to be doing for Weather Day today for the kids?
Well, we launch weather balloons from our office twice a day to see what's going on up above. So I brought one of the weather balloons. We're going to show it to the kids and talk about how we measure the sky above.
Very good. And you brought a guest with you, Mike Builder.
Hey.
Mike's with the National Weather Service in Silver Spring, right?
Yep, headquarters.
What do you do there at headquarters?
I do a bunch of different headquarters type things. I work with Congress and Yep, and I work with the Operations Center and emergency managers.
Yay! Well, that is fantastic. Thank you very much for coming out. And
No problem.
we have our National Weather Service colleagues.
Brought a Van de Graaff generator for the kids, so they have their own lightning. Yep.
Oh, that'll be wonderful.
Yep.
And
Bye.
somebody is asking, Joanne Mackey's on Facebook, Liz. She wants to say we miss Liz from Charlottesville.
Hi, Joanne.
She's saying hi to Joanne. There's my dear, dear Allison Seymour that I never get to see. And Joanne says she still misses you.
Aww.
There's our talk.
We have to take team photos. Come over.
Yeah, all right. Well, folks, we are going to be out here at the park. We would love to.
or come on out and get a ticket. I think there's still some tickets available. We have a lot of kids out here for our presentation, and we will chat with you a little bit later. We're going to take a team photo. Okay, bye-bye.
So that was Sue Palka there with the weather team of Fox 5 at Nats Park just a few moments ago. She took that little video. I just wanted to bring that to you so you could see what we're doing locally here at National Stadium. I want to bring you this video too. Check this out. Did you guys see this? It's another sort of airline controversy, this time dealing with Delta Airlines, and it's getting a lot of talk. I'm going to bring you the behind the scenes sort of video that someone took that is making its rounds on social media, kind of going viral. It happened on Delta Airlines. A family of four, I'm going to switch it over here. A family of four essentially were on their way back home from a Hawaiian vacation. They were kicked off a Delta flight after they refused to give up a seat that they had purchased occupied by their 2-year-old son. Take a listen.
Well, then they can remove me off the plane.
So then
Yeah,
it's going to
that's
be a
fine.
federal offense, and then you and your wife will be in jail, and your kids will be.
Okay. So my kid, wait. So my wife, we're gonna be in jail, and my kids are gonna be
It's
what?
a federal offense if you don't abide by.
I bought that seat.
I understand it's your Mason. Mason's not here.
Right.
So you still.
Right. I paid. I got him a ticket on another flight so that my son has a seat. And you're saying you're just gonna give that away to someone else. That when I paid for that seat, that's not right.
I understand, but that Mason's not here, so the seat. So
You need to do what's right.
Yeah.
I bought the seat, and you need to just leave us alone.
So Mason's not here, so Mason cannot be the one that owns the seat.
No, I paid for the seat. I bought the seat. You can look and see. It's my son. On the way out, the flight was open, but even then it was difficult to have a lap child, so we decided to get him a ticket on an earlier flight so we can use his seat and put the car seat and let the kids sleep, because it's a red eye. He won't sleep unless he's in his car seat. So otherwise he'd be sitting in my wife's lap, crawling all over the place, and it's not safe. So we decided to do it that way and let him use his seat. I paid for the seat. This is what's ridiculous.
You know, we're just here to just.
No, I know.
You know.
I know.
We're not pulling no
Well,
money, no physical, nothing. Okay.
No, I know. And I'm not. Look, I'm not trying to cause a problem. It's just what's. But you know, I believe in standing up for what's right, and I paid for the seat, and
Why not? How are we gonna handle this?
they need to do what's right. I bought this seat.
I understand, but it's a federal policy, sir, that the names of the individuals supposed to be in this. I don't make the policy.
That's not true. That's not true, actually. No, it's not, because people move around seats in the plane all the time.
After it's in the air.
I've been on many flights where they've said take any seat, it's wide open.
I'm just telling you the federal policy that we go on the.
And they violate federal policy on a regular basis, then, because I've been on many flights. But if I don't, that's what they're gonna do.
I just want to introduce myself. I'm Jenna. I'm in charge. I know you guys are frustrated. Hi. I'm sorry. I already know the situation. I've heard your guys' I know the man. Other than what's going on, is there anything else I can do? I know you guys are frustrated now. Basically, what it comes down to is not adultable. It's FAA because he's 2 and under.
Okay, I got a solution. He can sit in her lap.
Right.
Okay, and then we can take off, and then we can put him back in the car seat. That's what FAA rules on.
No,
the bottom line
with
is
him being they're not. We're pulling him up right now. With him being 2, he cannot sit in a car seat. That's the purpose of infinite arms. He has to sit in your arms the whole time. He can, technically he couldn't even be on his seat.
He rode on a car seat the whole way out here on a Delta flight.
And that's unfortunate. Unfortunately, I don't know what to tell you. I'm just trying to do the best I can now. But what I'm letting you know is, unfortunately, he can't be there. I wish I could help you guys. I really do.
What you're saying makes no sense, because we flew out here on a Delta plane and he sat in a car seat.
According to the rules we're pulling out right now, he technically cannot be in a car seat because of the arms.
Okay,
they're doing it right now, and they're going to clarify before I misspeak.
Okay.
So I'll just stop you there. They're going to do. They're doing it. And they're going to print it out in black and white, so that way whether I'm wrong or they're wrong, that doesn't matter. The situation is this plane is not going to move until we get you guys up, and that's fine. We can all sit here all night if that's what you guys want to do.
Okay, but that's wrong.
I get that it's wrong. I really do.
I paid for that seat.
I understand, and the person left, and then now you don't want anyone there, so you want another passenger not to sit there the whole flight. I get that.
I paid for the seat.
I understand
right.
that. I understand that.
Okay, but if your stance is that he cannot be in that seat when the plane takes off.
Okay. No, he cannot be in a seat at all because he's an infant arms, and I get that it was handled.
Wait, he can't be here at all.
No, in a seat. He can't occupy a seat because he's 2 years old, and that's FAA regulations. So
no one's ever told. Then how did we get out here?
I don't know, and that's what I'm
saying.
saying.
And also, too, how did we get through security with 2 kids, 2 car seats, go all the way through your gateway and through the gate, and then they come down and say that we have to get off this plane, and that's the seat you're talking about. So you're physically gonna remove my.
I'm not gonna. It's out of my hands now. I'm just letting you know from this point on, this plane will not go anywhere until you guys just. Now you can sit here. We can all just chill here. That's what I'm just trying to help you. This is all I can do. It's only in my hands now.
Trying to help us would have been not overselling the flight and not trying to force us to get him out of that seat that I paid for and holding this whole plane up. It would have been a lot easier for you guys to just say, not have that standby come down, and we could be on our way.
I get that too. I wish it would.
So why didn't that happen? Why isn't that happening?
I don't know. But as far as I know, he can no longer occupy that seat. So, like I said, I'm just giving you what's left. So it's your choice. We can sit here for the next 4 hours if you want, 5 hours. Sit here until tomorrow, but this plane will not leave. And so I told you guys, I wanted to give you guys a courtesy to introduce myself, and I get that that's not helping you.
How was that giving us a courtesy?
I was just coming to say hi and try to be, but I apologize. I shouldn't be accepted. I'll let them handle it, and then you guys can go from there. Okay? You guys go? Yeah, you're good. Thank you.
I think that is that an option? Is that an option for us at this point, just to hold the baby so that we can take off, or are they saying no? Okay, ask them.
Okay, so this is where we're at now at this point. There's option to have you guys all off the flight, or we're going to retrain the whole aircraft, and
So we're getting kicked off this plane no matter what now?
Yeah, I told you that in the beginning, you had two options, and now it's come too far.
So what are we supposed to do? I got 2 infants. I don't know. I actually have nowhere to stay. There's no more flights. What are we supposed to do? Sleep in the airport? No. You should have thought about that before you oversold the flight. I paid for that seat. I paid for that seat. So we're getting kicked off the plane.
Which option did you want to take? Did you want to get off on your own?
So wait, what are we supposed to do once we're off this plane?
That is not up to me, and the rest is everybody.
Well, it should be.
It's not. At this point, you guys are on your own.
What about our bags?
We'll have to get your bags off.
So they're gonna go onto the plane and get our bags off.
Yes, they will.
What are you gonna do? What are we gonna do?
Stand up and get off, or we.
Okay, here's the thing though. There's things that my kids have to have that are in those bags.
We will get all your bags off, sir.
Is that the one? You wanna go? Okay.
Okay, so stay here. Okay, so can you let my agent know that
Unbelievable. You guys are unbelievable. Great customer service. Awesome. Great job. We need someone to help with their car seats to carry them off.
So hopefully not another huge PR disaster for Delta. I think the case is a little bit confusing. It comes down to FAA regulations and some other stuff that I was a little bit confused about, but apparently he purchased it for his teenage son, and then his 2-year-old in the car seat was sitting in it, but it came down to regulations about a kid being in a car seat in a seat at all, and Delta's rules on that per the FAA. And then just giving him the options at the end was a little bit confusing to me. But there's a lot of talk on this and articles about it, people on social media talking about what they think. Let us know if you have any comment on it, if you want to speak to it. But again, just airlines coming under fire, a lot of that in the news lately. And yeah, hopefully this doesn't create another big firestorm of public relations disaster for Delta. Okay, let's go turn it over to politics. In D.C. So the big thing today is the health care bill. Republicans are saying they have enough votes in the House to put this through. If you remember, they made some changes to the Affordable Care Act to repeal it or to change it, but then it didn't pass in March. And now they're voting right now, actually, on the House floor. They're set to vote on the new Republican stylized health care bill. And they say they have enough support for it to pass in the House, but they're talking about it now on the House floor. So I'm going to bring you over there live in Capitol Hill. Here's the House floor.
Begin a thoughtful step-by-step process to deliver a patient-centered healthcare system, not a Washington-centered healthcare system, the American people. While Obamacare has helped some, far more have been hurt by this law. And more Obamacare failures are piling up every day. Just yesterday, Aetna announced that it will exit Virginia's individual health market next year. And it's not just the state's Obamacare exchanges they are leaving behind. Aetna will not offer any plans next year in the individual market in Virginia. Same thing is happening in Iowa. And Democrats, my friends on the Democratic aisle, have done nothing to stop this, nothing. But today, because of this bill, thousands of people will have hope for a new plan to provide the health care coverage they need. Millions of Americans throughout the country are facing just terrible options. People in Texas have been hit particularly hard. Between last year and this year, 9 health care insurers have exited Obamacare exchanges in the Lone Star State. No other state saw more insurers leave. For my families, the failures of this law have come to mean some incredibly tough choices they've had to accept. Under Obamacare, you can't access affordable coverage that's tailored to what they need. They've had to learn how to get by as their monthly health premiums just skyrocket each and every year, bigger than their mortgage payments. They've had to choose between paying out of pocket for the care they need or not getting care at all. And under Obamacare, the ability to receive treatment from a doctor you know and who knows you has become a luxury that too many can't afford. Today, with the American Health Care Act, the Republicans propose we have an opportunity to provide immediate relief from this failing law. More than that, we can provide Americans with real choices in health care, not the painful decision they forced to live with under Obamacare. Under the Ways and Means Committee area, this starts by repealing the law's crushing taxes and mandates, and that's where Ways and Means takes action. Under Obamacare, the individual employer mandate penalties allow Washington to strong-arm you, to strong-arm Americans in Obamacare plans you do not want and cannot afford. Not anymore. Under the Republican plan, we repeal the individual employer mandate tax penalties so Americans have the freedom to make the health care choices that are right for them. Under Obamacare, over $1 trillion of taxes were imposed on the American people. Under the Republican plan, those taxes are gone, those taxes that burden American small businesses and families. And under our plan, we provide increased health savings accounts so Americans can save easier for the out-of-pocket costs that hit them under any health care. And then we create a personal individual tax credit so Americans can buy plans that are right for them, not what's right for government. Health care premiums, they can choose a plan that can go with them from job to job, state to state, home to start a business or a family, and even into those pre-retirement years. Today is about taking on a collapsing Obamacare and replacing for the American people health care that they want, they can use, and that they can afford, driven not by what Washington wants, but driven by what American families need in their health care. I urge this support.
Gentleman from Virginia.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I remind my colleague that his vote for this bill could take away protections of over 4.5 million people with pre-existing conditions in Texas who might have access to coverage, but if they have diabetes, their rates could go up $5,000. Mr. Speaker, I yield 1 minute.
Check in with you guys. If you're watching us, you're watching live the House floor. They are set to repeal the Affordable Health Care Act, and with its changes that have been made to the legislation, vote on this new bill that would replace that bill. So it's a lot of talk, a lot of congressmen and women behind the podium chatting about this, making their speeches, but hopefully it'll get a move on and we'll get to see some action. We'll leave it on this live House floor in Capitol Hill just for a little bit longer.
A reckless plan that does nothing to make health care better. Trump Care gives the rich and big corporations a $600 billion tax break. It forces families to pay higher premiums and deductions, placing health care out of their reach. Trump Care forces seniors to pay higher costs, and it changes Medicare as we know it. It strips essential health benefits and protections for people with pre-existing conditions. What a pitiful display of partisan politics. Trump Care is so bad, Republicans have exempted themselves from it. They don't want Trump Care. The medical industry doesn't want Trump Care. Democrats don't want Trump Care. Why don't House Republicans listen? The people don't want it, and I won't support it.
Tennessee. Gentlewoman reserves the balance of her time. Gentleman from Virginia.
Mr. Speaker, I ask unanimous consent to enter into the record a letter from Common Sense Kids Action that explains that the bill jeopardizes the health care and well-being of America's kids and will alarm any parent who understands the importance of health insurance for their children and family.
Without objection.
Mr. Speaker, I yield for the purpose of a unanimous consent request to the gentleman from New York, Mr. Jeffries.
Mr. Speaker, I ask unanimous consent to enter into the record a letter from SEIU which states this legislation will leave millions without health insurance and decimate the Medicaid program.
Without objection.
Mr. Speaker, I yield 1 minute to the gentleman from New York.
Gentleman's recognized for 1 minute.
The House majority has once again made clear that under Republican rule, the system is rigged. The fix is in. The deck is stacked against hard-working Americans. And Exhibit A is your reckless Republican health care plan. Under Trump Care, 24 million Americans will lose access to health insurance. Under Trump Care, a draconian age tax will be imposed on people between 50 and 64. Under Trump Care, costs will go up, premiums will go up, co-pays will go up, deductibles will go up. Under Trump Care, tens of millions of Americans who are living with pre-existing conditions will be screwed. House Republicans are out to destroy the American healthcare system as we know it. But you will be held accountable for the cruel and unusual punishment that you have decided to inflict on the American people. Vote no against this draconian piece of legislation.
Apparently, for not the last time, the chair would remind members to direct their remarks to this chair. Understood? Gentlelady from Tennessee.
Mr. Speaker, I reserve.
Gentlelady reserved. Gentleman from Virginia.
Mr. Speaker, I ask unanimous consent to enter into the record an article in Consumer Reports dated May 2nd, 2017, entitled How the Affordable Care Act Drove Down Personal Bankruptcy.
Without objection.
Speaker, I yield 1 minute to the gentleman from New Jersey, Mr. Norcross.
Gentleman's recognized for 1 minute.
Thank you. A month ago, I was ready to speak right here on the floor when this bill was abruptly removed. Apparently, it wasn't bad enough that day, wasn't harmful enough. But now it's back worse than ever. So bad, it might actually pass. I don't have a lot of time to explain, but let me tell you two groups that are really going to say thank you. It's the billionaires and it's the undertakers. This bill will make healthcare more unaffordable and preventable deaths. Meanwhile, it gives $800 billion to the wealthy, to the billionaires. Trump Care brings us higher costs, less coverage, guts the benefits, crushing age tax, and steals from Medicare. And in my district alone, 43,000 people will lose coverage. 9,000 of those are children.
All right, guys, stepping away from the House floor just for now, just checking in with you. Thanks for joining us on our YouTube feed here on Fox 5 Live. I want to go over to the Midwest. You guys have probably been seeing some of the footage, some of the reports about the real extreme weather out in the Midwest, Missouri, St. Louis area, also Texas and Arkansas going through a lot of rain, tornado warnings and whatnot. There's going to be a press conference about the weather conditions or the weather situation out there that I will bring you to in a bit when that starts up. But speaking of weather, check this out. Another live video from our weather team. Actually, this one from our anchor, Allison Seymour. She's over there also at Nats Park. And just a little bit ago, she posted this live video that I'm going to bring to you guys 1 second. She's also there, as well as our whole weather team for Weather Day. Now, the game, the actual Nats game, is about to start in a few minutes. It starts about 1. But just check out a little behind the scenes from Allison Seymour, our anchor, who was there this morning.
From center field, check it out.
Gorgeous!
Here for Weather Day. Oh, this is the coolest thing. Okay, Brian. They're going to kick us out because, all right.
Imagine being one of those presidents with the big.
Well,
the warning track right here.
Finally got it to the ballpark for Weather Day. Hey, everybody. Brian Baldwin. Hello. It's one of our wonderful managers, Terry Taliber. Mike Thomas taking the lead. This is so awesome down here. Wow. I've never been down on the field like this, but you know what? One time I got to say play ball tee.
Did you?
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever thrown out a pitch?
Like this. Play ball.
Wait, here and then?
Yes. The last Weather Day.
Did you, have you ever thrown out a pitch?
I've been asked to throw out a pit.
Mm-hmm.
I refuse.
It seems like it's a lot of pressure.
I can't do it. I wouldn't do it. I'm too embarrassed.
A lot of pressure.
Right.
You know, when Sue said she did it, her husband was training her like every afternoon.
Oh, no, and make no mistake, that wasn't asked here. For teams on the come up. Yeah.
And you refused?
I did.
Oh man.
I can't be clowned. And that's what would happen. I would be clowned. Yeah, I could practice. All right.
I think Zachary's class, they gonna rat me out.
It's a surprise.
Mom.
Oh.
There's your mom.
Hi. Okay, so we're here. Look, we're on the Jumbotron. Isn't that cool? So, Fox 5 Weather Day 2017.
Zachary.
Where's Zachary?
Right there.
Where's it? Oh, there he is. Oh, Terry just saw her child. So, 1,300 students from, is it DC, Maryland, Virginia?
I don't know.
Okay. Thank you, Terry.
I'm sorry.
1,300 school students from around the area expected to be here today. And so, it won't be televised, but this is where we are. Here's some of the crew. Well, let me see. Hi, Allison. This is the nicest person. I'm the second nicest.
She's nice as she seems.
And I always say yes.
I say yes, she is.
And I always say yes, Sue's the nicest, and I'm second. So it's Weather Day. Hi, Caitlin.
It looks so
good to see you. Has it been fun so far?
It's been great so far. It's been so fun so far. Weather's fantastic. Kids are coming in early and they're filing in. We're having a great morning. Yes, we're so glad you could join us.
Do you like my swanky jacket? Because I like your swanky jacket.
Well, you know, we did get the dress code, same dress code. Sue and I have the exact same outfit on.
Is that right?
Yeah, we don't even have
cute.
the same jacket. We have the same outfit.
I had to go. I'm not ready for white jeans yet. I got to be in the gym a little more. Okay. And then here's Tuck.
Yay! Hi, everybody.
Tuck, is it DC, Maryland, and Virginia schools?
Yes.
Okay. So schools all across the
Schools
DMV.
all across, yes.
Okay. So we're getting the plan right now.
And we have the school that we have right here, St. Francis Xavier, I believe. Is that the name of
Stoddard Elementary?
And Stoddard. That's your
Okay.
son's school? Stoddard Elementary in Washington, D.C.
All right. Very cool. All right. So this is the look from down here.
Hey, that is so funny that your son's school is.
Just about the coolest thing ever, right? Okay. Yeah, Caitlin does fit right in. Of course. All right. Just trying to read some folks. LaShawn. Are we ready to do something?
Top of the board.
No, I'm no longer at the top of the board. Okay, so look what they're doing now. Hosing the field down. Can you see it? Game today is 105. Who are they playing today?
Diamondbacks. Arizona.
Arizona
What's up, everybody?
The Arizona. We made it. Look at your jersey. That is the coolest thing.
I know. I feel cool.
Yes, you should. You look cool. Is it? Well, what about that Christmas gift I gave you a year ago?
Oh, that $5 Starbucks card meant so much to me.
It came from my heart. Anyway, okay, so I guess we're about to do a little something. Oh, wait, this is the dugout. Check it out. Isn't that cool? Alrighty. Well, let me show you what I'm looking at. Pitcher's mound, home plate. There's Steve on the Jumbotron. Right? Just about the coolest thing ever. All right. Brian, can we talk about the fact that is this true? More baseball players per capita, like Latino baseball players, come from the Dominican Republic than anywhere?
Yes, and I'm the only Dominican not playing baseball. My mother's still shaming me.
Can you actually play baseball?
Not anymore. I used to. Got hit in the face.
What was your sport?
Basketball. Football.
All right. Anyway, okay. So then, Brian and I go way back, like to the early 90s. So anyway, I'm here with him, and I'm going to sign off, but just wanted to show you where I was today for Fox 5 Weather Day. 1,300 students from the DMV will be here, and the weather team will be taking questions, getting some young minds all fired up. And I'm here just because it's fun and help to represent the Fox 5 news team. Okay, here we go. There it is. Kids are already there. I love it. Okay. See you guys tomorrow on TV. We're out here at Nats Park, the weather team. And me. What'd you say?
And then you just left.
That's Harry. Okay, bye.
So Allison is back in the studio tomorrow. She'll be resuming her normal duties here as anchor, but she was out there with the weather team. Cool to see a little behind the scenes of right below sort of everything in Nats Park on the field. It's cool to get that tour, especially when there's not crazy amounts of people there. So we were going to bring you over to the Midwest to check in St. Louis about the weather, but I have something even more interesting coming in from Oklahoma. Check this out. This is footage right now live of a roller coaster stuck. They said it was upside down, but I don't know if they look upside down, maybe partially. I don't have any sound on this, but this is from KWTV and KOTV in Oklahoma. We're going to find out a little more information on this stuck roller coaster in a second, but just getting word about this. And I also want to plug, if you were interested in that video that I showed you about the Delta Airlines controversy, we'll be posting an article on our website to kind of follow up with that story if you want to read about it on fox5dc.com. So check in there and keep attuned to our Facebook page as well as this YouTube page. And don't forget to subscribe. If you click that button, subscribe, you can see and you get those pop-ups as when I come live on the show and bringing you live and breaking news on the YouTube channel. I'm going to effort a little more information on this roller coaster. Check out this footage. This is crazy. Don't know that I would want to be stuck there. Haven't been on a roller coaster in a while, but definitely like them. But you can see there's looks like there's personnel up there assisting with this rescue. Not sure exactly where this is, but I'm going to find out. So guys, it looks like this is a malfunction. The chopper has sort of panned out. I don't know. It looks like they're still up there, but this is at Frontier City. It's apparently a park, an amusement park there in Oklahoma City, northeast Oklahoma City. And emergency crews were dispatched to help these people. You can see right below me here. Looks like they're working on it. Where some of the initial reports were that some of these visitors were stuck with riders still in some of the carts. Now, no one was injured, apparently. We're hearing from firefighters when the ride was actually stopped. So it doesn't look like it's upside down or anything, but that would have been a big scare. Happened around in the 11 o'clock hour here in Oklahoma City is what you're watching. And it looks like they have dispatched some crew, some personnel to help fix this. We've seen this before. I feel like recently we were posting a live video of another roller coaster that was stuck for a long time. It took hours to get them down. It was riveting video, and really you can't keep your eyes off of it because you want to know what's going to happen next. Are they going to get them out? Looks like this is the second time in less than a year that this ride has become stuck on the tracks. This specific ride is the Silver Bullet, they call it. And this is again at Frontier City in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. You're looking at these live pictures of a roller coaster malfunction. Looks like some people are just still in the carts. Looks like it wasn't a full ride, or maybe some people are already rescued. But it looks like they are okay, just kind of sitting there in the wind, looking over the rest of the park.
Got to where the steps ended now.
I'm going to pull up the volume on here. It looks like we have a little bit of a report coming in.
Passing out harnesses to all the people because they overhang it. The steps end right where that one firefighter is standing, and the rest of the first two carts and part of the third cart hang over. So they'll be harnessing those people up, and they'll be very cautious about bringing them over the top there to the back to reach those steps. Right now, everybody's in good spirits. They're waving at us. Like I said, this makes the third time that I've covered the Silver Bullet getting stuck on the very top here. Jim Carr reporting live for Bob Mills, Scotty's 9. Back to you.
So it looks like that was a live shot for the channel down there that's feeding in this footage. And it sounds like this reporter has covered the Silver Bullet getting stuck 3 times in total. People are getting harnessed, attached and off the ride and over on that overpass bridge. Looks like not too severe of a malfunction, but definitely interesting sight to watch. I guess it seems like those carts will be there for a while, so they have to actually attach the people to harnesses for safety to then walk them down.
This morning? I don't know if they flew this morning.
Let's listen in a little more. Yeah, I don't know. The last time I was on a roller coaster, I think it was wooden, and I think the wooden ones are the scariest because they're old and creaky. You never know if wood is just gonna break or deteriorate. At least that's what I thought. They sound really old and creaky. Let us know what you guys think in the comments. Feel free to reach out to us. And thanks for watching, guys. All right, we're going to change it up a little bit, guys. Go back to Capitol Hill right here in Washington, D.C., where House congressmen and women are debating the new health care bill. They changed that legislation. They are looking to repeal the Affordable Care Act and replace it. And they're talking about that. Both sides are talking about it on the House floor right now. And we have video of that live. So let's go back to D.C. here.
Mr. Speaker, I yield for the purpose of a unanimous consent request to the gentlelady from Illinois, Ms. Bustos.
Thank you. Mr. Speaker, I ask unanimous consent to enter into the record letters from the United Steelworkers, the AFL-CIO, and the International Brotherhood of Teamsters in opposition to this bill.
Without objection.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I yield 1 minute to the gentlelady from Illinois.
Gentlelady is recognized for 1 minute.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is not how Washington is supposed to work. We're supposed to improve the lives of hardworking people. Instead, this reckless and dangerous Trump care bill would undermine both the health and the economic security of millions of Americans. People like Emily Carlson. She's a small business owner and mother of 2 from rural Abingdon, Illinois. She lives with MS, a lifelong and very expensive pre-existing condition. Before health care reform, Emily and her husband Kevin, a farmer, often had to sit around the table at night, go over their bills, and decide between sickness or debt from 1 month to the next. If this bill passes, that's a choice they're going to have to face once again. For families like the Carlsons, Trump care means higher costs, fewer choices, and worse coverage. Trump care is a bad deal for Americans, but it's devastating for rural Americans. Right now, there are nearly 700 rural hospitals at risk of closure. This bill will pull the plug on far too many of them, killing thousands of jobs and ripping the economic heart out of small towns across our nation. It's time to put hardworking families first. Do the right thing and vote against this bill. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield back.
Reserve.
Gentlelady from Tennessee reserves. Gentleman from Virginia.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I yield for the purpose of unanimous consent request to the gentlelady from New Hampshire, Ms. Shea Porter.
They want me to submit those letters.
Mr. Speaker, I ask unanimous consent to enter to the record a letter from the American Cancer Society which states cancer patients and survivors need affordable, accessible insurance coverage with no pre-existing condition exclusions or annual and lifetime caps, and that high-risk pools have failed to meet these basic needs.
Without objection.
Thank you. Mr. Speaker, I yield 1 minute to the gentlelady from New Hampshire.
Without objection. Gentlelady is recognized for 1 minute.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I oppose this cruel bill on behalf of my constituents, especially those that would hurt the most, people with pre-existing conditions, older Americans, veterans, and lower-income people. If this bill passes, we'll go back to the days when people with pre-existing conditions could be denied coverage or charged more, when insurers could decide whether or not to cover basic care like hospitalization, and when sick babies might hit their insurer's lifetime coverage limit before they could even walk. Under this bill, older Americans will pay more. In fact, Americans aged 50 to 64 would pay premiums 5 times higher than others. Veterans will lose access to tax credits that make private coverage affordable, and lower-income people will be hurt. Taking away Medicaid expansion would put affordable coverage out of reach for millions and set us back in the fight against the heroin, fentanyl, and opioid crisis. Instead of this cruel bill, let's come together to improve health care, not take health insurance away from millions just to give tax credits to the wealthiest. We're better than that. I yield back.
Gentlelady from Tennessee.
Mr. Speaker, I yield 30 seconds to myself.
Gentlelady is recognized for 30 seconds.
The American Health Care Act has gone through many fits and starts over the last few months. This bill begins to fulfill our promise to the American people by reducing costs for American families. It eliminates Obamacare's burdens on small businesses and families and protects those with pre-existing conditions. We must continue to work to build on this. With that, I would like to yield 1 minute to the gentleman from California, our Majority Leader, Mr. McCarthy.
Gentleman from California is recognized for 1 minute.
Well, I thank the gentlelady for yielding. But more importantly, I thank Congresswoman Diane Black for more than 4 decades as a nurse, for caring for the sick. I know her passion for the unborn and for her work on this legislation. Now, Mr. Speaker, Americans are a practical people. We know that we can have fair health care that helps those who need it without trapping everyone in a government-run system dreamed up by Washington's central planners. Now, contrary to our freedom, Obamacare forced the American people to purchase insurance. Contrary to our well-being, Obamacare imposed taxes we cannot bear. Contrary to what is responsible and right, Obamacare made Medicaid unsustainable for the people most in need. And contrary to common sense, Obamacare regulations continued to drive up the cost of insurance beyond what people can afford. You want to know how Obamacare is working? Just read this week's papers. Now let me take you all the way back to yesterday. This is the headline. Medica, the last insurer selling individual policies in most of Iowa, is unlikely to exist. So now, 94 of the 99 counties will have no insurer in Iowa. 94 of the 94 counties in Iowa will have no insurer. Here's another headline from yesterday. Aetna will exit Obamacare markets in Virginia in 2018. Humana left the Obamacare exchanges. Blue Cross left Nebraska. United Healthcare left all but a handful of markets this year. You see, Mr. Speaker, we have roughly 3,000 counties in all of America. 1/3, 1,020.
Guys, let's roll out of Capitol Hill. I think a little bit more riveting is the picture of this roller coaster that we still have in Oklahoma City. Now it's a little bit more of a wide shot aerial view, but check it out when this chopper zooms in. This is Frontier City. It's an amusement park in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, and emergency crews are responding to rescue these people from this ride. It's called the Silver Bullet. Looks like it's some type of, metal silver thing that goes really fast. That's pretty high up in the air. I'm not exactly sure how high up this coaster is, but it malfunctioned and stopped in this position. I think they've gotten most of the people off, but you can see there's still 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5 carts remaining with people, and they have to actually, you can see the personnel here attaching those red harnesses of sorts to get them attached and bring them off the roller coaster. Now I'm watching also this live feed around our sister stations and on our Facebook page. Lots of comments about wondering how high this is. I'm not exactly sure. I'm going to look into that information, but it looks like there's enough crews there to help them, but they actually have to be attached, and then they actually have to walk down those stairs. But those stairs are obviously there for a reason. You've seen them when you've ridden any roller coasters or rides. There's always an emergency sort of level that people can get up to you. Looks like people are waving. I don't know what to, but yeah, so they actually have to walk down those stairs. So if they're afraid of heights, they're probably wishing they didn't get on that ride. But I'm curious to see how far up they are.
And then reduce premium through the tried and true process of fair competition. And as the price of insurance decreases, we give those who still can't quite afford it a step up through tax credits and expand health savings accounts. This is fundamental and structural reform.
Okay, so I'm reading that this is a steel roller coaster in Oklahoma City called the Silver Bullet. It is, it goes up to 47.9 miles an hour, and its height is 80 feet. Wait, I think that looks like that would be the max. And then a lot of people ride it, about 1,700 riders per hour of this roller coaster. So a few stats on this coaster, and it's been around since 1986, so a long-running roller coaster at this amusement park. And it looks like they're almost getting to the last of the people that are stuck, but definitely a scary situation in Oklahoma City. We've seen roller coasters stay up for 4 hours. People are stuck for hours and hours. This seems like it was a relatively quick, you can see sort of how fast these people are getting rescued. I don't know exactly the length of time that it's been stuck, but in that moment when it stopped, it must have been pretty startling to wonder, is it supposed to do this? How long am I going to be here? And then it seems that they sent people up immediately. So just another malfunction in Oklahoma City. So guys, I'm also reading that this particular roller coaster is actually Oklahoma's tallest roller coaster at about 83 feet. So I was saying 80 before. So that's really interesting. It has a top speed, like I said, of about 45 to 47, 48 miles an hour. But yeah, the tallest or the biggest, they're saying the tallest roller coaster in Oklahoma right here, the Silver Bullet. They are dealing with a rescue situation, a malfunction. And this is at Frontier City, an amusement park in Oklahoma City. It looks like most of the people have been rescued already, but you still see a couple carts. They just have to wait their turn to get attached to this red harness. And then they're walking them down that sort of side panel of stairs to get off the roller coaster. So people in the front, I guess they're going to be last, the people that chose those front seats. But looks like they're doing everything they can to get that personnel to stay up there and just get everybody off. But yeah, pretty scary situation. Oklahoma City, you're watching this live chopper video of the rescue.
Coverage they need at any price, much less affordable. We took a giant step away from this with the ACA, but this Republican bill takes us back to that era where people with pre-existing conditions are left in the cold. Adding money to a state slush fund is not a solution. Repealing the ACA will once again institutionalize inhumanity and egregiousness. Are you back?
Gentlelady from Tennessee.
Mr. Speaker, I'm prepared to close, and I reserve the balance of my time.
Gentlelady reserves the balance of her time. Gentleman from Virginia.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. For our closing statement, I'd like to yield the balance of the time to the Democratic leader, the gentlelady from California, Ms. Pelosi.
Gentlelady from California is recognized for 1 minute.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I thank the gentleman for yielding. I thank him, Congressman Scott. I thank Frank Pallone, John Yarmouth, Richie Neal, our ranking members who've done such excellent work on this debate on the values of our country. Mr. Speaker, our colleague, Mr. Clyburn, began his remarks quoting Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, and I want to join him. I think those words bear repeating. Over 50 years ago, Dr. King said, of all of the forms of inequality, injustice in healthcare is the most shocking and the most inhumane because it often results in physical death. We come to the floor with the moral force of Dr. Martin Luther King's words in our hearts. Affordable health care is a civil right, a fundamental right for every person in our country, not just the privileged few. And so in the spirit of Mr. Clyburn and Dr. King, let us be prayerful about how we go forward on this very personal issue about the well-being of every person in our country. Speaker Ryan once called this bill an act of mercy. An act of mercy. There is no mercy here. Indeed, inequality and inhumanity is exactly what Trump Care has in store for the American people. But when he said it's an act of mercy, here's what others said. From the beginning, Trump Care was a moral monstrosity that will devastate seniors, children, and hardworking Americans. That was from me. But don't take it from me. Sister Simone Campbell said, this is not the faithful way forward and must be rejected. The Catholic Health Association wrote, we strongly encourage the full House to reject this replacement bill. And the United Methodist Church said, opposing Trump Care, this is what they said, people will die because of efforts like this to roll back health care. Lutheran Services in America said, Trump Care will jeopardize the health care and long-term services and support of millions of Americans. The Episcopal Church said Trump Care falls woefully short of our spiritual calling to care for the least of these, as well as the noble values upon which our great nation was founded. End of quote. And all that was said before the Republicans decided to destroy the protections of Americans with pre-existing conditions. I grant our Republican friends their position. I respect them and their constituents who sent them here. But I reject the wrong priorities in Trump Care. Tax cuts for the rich at the expense of health insurance for tens of millions of working families across America. Trump Care very clearly spotlights the differences in priorities between Democrats and Republicans in Congress. It has stepped forward in the long-standing Republican belief that Medicare should wither on the vine, that Medicaid should be shrunken, and that Social Security should be privatized. If you believe in the health and well-being of the American people, you must reject this bill before us now. It is what Trump Care, here's what it means for the American people. You know, much has been said about policy here today and over time. Much has been said about politics. What are the politics of this? What's really important is what this means to the American people. And they know. They are listening. They know what it means to them. And it means, Trump Care does, it forces families to pay higher premiums and deductibles, increasing out-of-pocket cost. Higher cost, less coverage. Trump Care will take away health care from more than 24 million hardworking Americans. A crushing age tax. Trump Care forces Americans aged 50 to 64 to pay premiums 5 times higher than what others pay for health coverage, no matter how healthy they are. Steals from Medicare. Trump Care shortens the life of Medicare Trust Fund and ransacks funds that seniors depend on to get long-term care they need. That's why it's consistent with their wither on the vine for Medicare philosophy. And then, if that were not bad enough, and they couldn't pass their bill because it was that bad, they moved further away from the American people by gutting key protections. Trump Care eviscerates essential health benefits such as maternity care, prescription drugs, emergency coverage, prenatal care, and guts protections for Americans with pre-existing medical conditions. As bad as Trump Care was the first time around, you know, it was dead. It died. It died right here on the floor. Now it's come back to life, like a zombie, even more scary than before. And it is even worse. If Republicans have their way, Americans with pre-existing conditions will be pushed off their insurance and segregated into high-risk pools where they will face soaring costs, worse coverage, and restricted care. Trump care means huge premium increases. It's a frightening future for families who need affordable, dependable care the most. Now on the floor, the Republicans have recklessly, and some would say fraudulently, claimed that Trump care covers Americans with pre-existing conditions. It does not. It does not. As Robert Grabois at the conservative Mercatus Center said about the Upton Amendment, the $8 billion amount is a pittance. Spread over 5 years, it is a fifth of a pittance. As the Karen Polis from the Kauser Family Foundation said, the Upton Amendment would cover the cost for only 1% of the individual market. Others have given it up to 5%, 1 to 5%. Does that mean covering? No.
Guys, you're looking at two things right now, the live pictures of the Oklahoma City roller coaster rescue. You can see right below me here. People are still up there. You saw probably, if you were keeping an eye on it, people waving. Looks like they're still efforting this rescue with that red harness, bringing it up across those 4 or 5 carts that are still occupied by people and attaching people to it to walk them out and around to that little staircase there. Those staircases are there to help with situations like these, I believe. And remember, this is the Silver Bullet. It's the tallest roller coaster in Oklahoma. And this is located at Frontier City, an amusement park there in Oklahoma City, northeast area of the city. So they're still efforting this rescue. Looks like it's ongoing. Takes more time than I thought, I think, to kind of get everybody attached. Looks like people aren't too terrified. I feel like the people in the front are waving to people and sort of chatting. I can't really tell their demeanor or their disposition from this angle. But this rescue is still going on in Oklahoma City. If you are still joining us, or if you're just joining us, that is what you're looking at, live pictures of this roller coaster rescue. And then in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen, Nancy Pelosi takes the floor for sort of a summation conclusion to this continued debate on the new healthcare bill that Republicans want to replace Affordable Care Act with. So 2 simultaneous things going on live right now. I don't have any sound on the roller coaster. Otherwise, I'd bring you some live reports from there. If we have more on that, I'll bring that to you as well.
America. 7 million veterans will lose access to tax credits for health care. And all of this to give a massive tax cut to the richest in America. Trump Care is a billionaire's tax cut, again, disguised as a health care bill. It's Robin Hood in reverse, one of the largest, again, transfers of wealth from working families to the rich in our country. Today, we honor the visions of our founders, who risked everything. They risked everything, their lives, their liberty, their sacred honor, to advance the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The life, a healthier life, the freedom to pursue your happiness, the freedom from being job-locked or policy-locked because of what the Republicans want to do today. Today, we fight to preserve affordable health care as the right of every American, again, not the privileged few. Today, we fight for children like Zoe Madison Lynn. Zoe was born with a congenital heart defect in May of 2010. She faced her first of 3 heart surgeries at 15 hours. By 6 months old, Zoe was halfway to her lifetime limit her insurer had placed on her. She faced a grim future, not only using up her lifetime limit by preschool, but by carrying a pre-existing condition that will require attention and care for the rest of her life. Under the Affordable Care Act, Zoe is protected, but Trump Care puts her future in danger. I wish that our members who vote for this bill had better, I hope you make time to sit down with the parents of a newborn or with a heart condition, or a young woman who just learned she had breast cancer, the family of loved ones struggling with a disease or a chronic condition. Any of the tens of millions of Americans who are rightfully terrified of what Trump care will mean in their lives. Mr. Speaker, we have with this bill a wonderful opportunity. This is one of the best civics lessons we can engage in. Because of what happened following the election, the American people are engaged. They are paying attention. I'm not saying in a political way, I'm saying in a personal way. A former speaker said all politics is local. In the case of healthcare, all politics is personal. All politics is personal when it comes to healthcare. And so this civics lesson will teach the American people a number of things. As special as we think we are when we come to the floor here, most Americans don't know who their member of Congress is. But they will now when they find out that you voted to take away their health care and the rest. They will know when you put an age tax on them or undermine Medicare and Medicaid and the rest. Oh yeah, they're paying attention because it's really personal with them and their families. So I think we have to get ready for that. Our members, our colleagues who have the mantle of being a moderate, you vote for this bill, you have walked the plank from moderate to radical. And you're walking the plank for what? A bill that will not be accepted by the United States Senate. Why are you doing this? Do you believe in what is in this bill? Some of you have said, well, they'll fix it in the Senate. But you have every provision of this bill tattooed on your forehead. You will glow in the dark on this one. You will glow in the dark. You will glow in the dark. So don't walk the plank, especially unnecessarily. Our responsibility to the sick and the hurt is biblical. It's fundamental to who we are. As Pope Francis said, health is not a consumer good, but a universal right. So access to health services cannot be a privilege. Today, let us declare once again the affordable health care must be the right of every American, not the privileged few. So I ask you, my colleagues, does Trump care lower health costs? No. Does Trump care provide better health care? No. Does Trump care protect seniors and families? No. Is Trump care good for our veterans? No. Is there any caring in Trump care at all? No. For the sake of our values, to honor our responsibilities to our founders, life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, to our veterans who protect us, and to our children whose aspirations are our guide, I urge my colleague to vote no on this disastrous Trump care bill and yield back the ballot.
So somewhat of a rousing little end conclusion with Nancy Pelosi finishing up this debate on the House floor. I want to bring it back. Let's go big picture of this roller coaster rescue. Take a look
Members
here.
are reminded to address their
Bring that sound down. This is the, it just panned out, but this is the aerial view of the Silver Bullet. Look at it. It's winding. It's large. It's the largest, or it's the tallest roller coaster of all of Oklahoma. And those people are still trapped, it looks like, on the top of that drop, and rescue personnel are there to assist with this rescue. They've been there, I don't know, maybe 20 or 30 minutes now, even longer, grabbing people, attaching them to that red harness that you see, and bringing them down this sort of stair walkway. I think I just saw a little boy, really young. There he is. You can kind of see him next to those guys in the hard hats, being attached, making his way down those stairs. Hopefully this isn't too scary. Maybe he's thrilled by it. Maybe he's terrified. I don't know. I don't have any sound on this. We do have there's a live reporter covering this down in Oklahoma. And if they feed any back in any information, I'll bring that to you as well. But this is the pictures right now, live aerials of the Silver Bullet in Frontier City. That's the name of the amusement park in Oklahoma City. And they're still working to get these carts emptied of the people that they are occupying. making their way to the front. Oh, it looks like we just lost that feed for a second. We might get it back in a second, but just thanking you guys for joining us on our YouTube stream. Feel free to chat with us on our YouTube chat, live chat, and engage with us and tell us what you think. It looks like I got that picture back up. We're going to bring it back. There it is. Live roller coaster rescue in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Still working to attach those people to the red harness, getting people down those stairs. Looks like that boy is reunited with his mom or whoever his caretaker might be there, walking down those rescue stairs. But they still have yet to get to the front of the roller coaster. So this is an ongoing process. We've seen these before, and we've seen people stuck up there for upwards of many hours, 3 to 4 hours even. So hopefully this one is concluded swiftly and doesn't take too much out of these people. We're going to bring you back to the 2 shot. Take the House floor again. Paul Ryan is next to speak. Here he is.
Now that one insurer is saying that it will have to pull out of 94 of 99 counties in Iowa. This is happening right now. So tens of thousands of Iowans will go from having one option to no options. That is not a choice. This is a crisis, and it is happening right now. What protection is Obamacare if there is no health care plan to purchase in your state? This is the direction Obamacare is rapidly heading. So we can continue with this status quo, or we can put this collapsing law behind us, end this failed experiment. Let's make it easier for people to afford their health insurance. Let's give people more choices and more control over their care. Let's make insurance companies come in and compete for your business. Let's return power from Washington to the states. Let's help get people peace of mind. Let's put the patient, not the bureaucrats, at the center of the system. This bill does all of those things. This bill delivers on the promises that we have made to the American people. You know, a lot of us have been waiting 7 years to cast this vote. Many of us are here because we pledged to cast this very vote, to repeal and replace Obamacare, to rescue people from this collapsing law. Are we going to meet this test? Are we going to be men and women of our word? Are we going to keep the promises that we made? Or are we going to falter? No. After all of this, after seeing what is happening in Iowa and around the country, after seeing this law collapsing while we witness it across the country, knowing all this turmoil that is coming, we will not falter. We will replace. And today is the day that we're going to do this. Today, this House has the opportunity to do more than just fulfill a promise. We have the opportunity to raise our gaze and set a bold course for our country. We have the opportunity to show that we've got the resolve to tackle the big challenges in this country before they tackle us, to stop the drift of arrogant, big government policies in our lives, and to begin a new era of reform based on liberty and self-determination, giving people choices, letting them control their own destinies. That is the day that is before us right here. So let us pass this bill to take the next step to put Obamacare behind us. Let us pass this bill to build a better healthcare system for American families. Let us pass this bill to leave this country better than we found it, because that is why we are here. That is what is at stake today. And that is why I am going to be so proud to cast my vote for this legislation, and I urge all of my colleagues to do the same.
Bringing you out of the House floor, guys, back to this big picture of this rescue ongoing here in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. This is the Silver Bullet, if you're just joining us, the tallest roller coaster in all of Oklahoma. And this is what happened. It stalled just at that big drop point, and rescue crews have been working to assist in this for quite some time now, maybe about 35 to 45 minutes. We've been watching this. Looks like they are attaching people to this red harness and gathering them together to kind of come to the left side here where you see that stairwell that goes down to rescue them. Now, the reporter down there who's covering it said that he has reported on 3 of these rescue attempts or rescues for this roller coaster in his time as a reporter there. So sounds like there's something faulty going on, but they're working to rescue these guys from the Silver Bullet at Frontier City, which is the amusement park in Oklahoma City. Staying down in the south, the Midwest South area, you guys probably heard about, if not you saw on our show, we covered this past Monday, a fatal stabbing at the University of Texas at Austin. Now, 1 freshman has died as a result of this. Very sad story, very scary college stabbing story. 1 freshman has died, a freshman from Texas, and 3 others rather, were injured during that brutal attack. Now tonight, or yesterday, the campus went dark for that. So a little report from yesterday, just kind of an update to show you guys from our sister station in Austin. I'm going to bring you that video.
Live from the UT campus with more on the investigation. Casey.
Right, Mike and Rebecca. Before I talk about that, I got to talk about something that just happened, just broke over at the Austin Police Department. In the wake of this scary situation on Monday, there were all sorts of reports of conspiracies and other crimes near campus related to the actions of Kendricks White. Austin Police told us yesterday there was a report of a separate stabbing in the West Campus area. A young man saw a man in a black hoodie threatening a young woman with a knife. He tackled that person and got stabbed himself. In a press conference just minutes ago, Austin Police Chief Manley says they've determined that stabbing was a complete lie. The young man who reported it admitted he stabbed himself on accident, and on the way to the hospital, when he realized how much the bill was going to be, he made this whole story up and connected it to the on-campus stabbing. APD says he hasn't been charged yet, but could be charged with false report, which is a Class B misdemeanor. So back to Kendricks White here. What would make anyone do this? Yesterday, Police Chief David Carter, UT Police Chief David Carter, said that mental illness may have played a part here, and as we're reading paperwork, we realized that may have been the case.
Kendricks Jermaine White is charged with murder. On Monday, police say the 21-year-old UT student calmly walked around campus near Gregory Gym and stabbed 4 people, killing UT freshman Harrison Brown, a talented musician from Graham, Texas. According to an affidavit obtained by Fox 7, after his arrest, White was taken to the Austin Police Homicide Office for an interview. He was read his Miranda rights and agreed to speak. When the officer asked him if he knew why he was there, White said, yes, accusations of pushing someone down and I think using a bladed weapon. A weapon White told police he bought several days prior for protection. The officer asked White if he was hearing voices in his head. White said his mind told him to, quote, tell the truth and withhold any action that he did because it really didn't happen. White said it was possible he used the knife in a manner to hit someone, but he couldn't remember. At one point, White interrupted the interview and said, if I did something I don't remember, then I want to be told. During a Tuesday morning press conference, UT Police Chief David Carter indicated White may not have been in his right mind.
This was not a conspiracy. This was not a person that had a vendetta against any particular group. We have solid grounds and reason to believe that the individual was suffering from mental health issues.
Karen Reynes, the executive director of the National Alliance on Mental Illness, says when something like this happens, it reinforces a stereotype that people with mental illness are violent.
We only see violence in 3 to 5% of cases of people living with mental illness. And these are usually individuals who are living with serious mental illness. And oftentimes what we're seeing is untreated psychosis, which may be very well what we're seeing in this particular case.
She says it's something we need to talk about.
How do we make sure that this doesn't happen again? And I do think one of those things is making sure that we start talking about mental health issues and we encourage people to get help and we don't shame them when they are having to get help, and especially when it comes to young people.
And Kendrick White not remembering his crime isn't a surprise to her.
You have to realize that when someone's having a psychotic break, essentially their brain is on fire. I mean, nothing. The behavior that you will see can sometimes be frightening or irrational or not make sense because literally their brain is not functioning the way it should be. So did it surprise me to hear that he had no recollection of it? Not really.
Tonight, the UT Tower will go dark in remembrance of Harrison Brown and in honor of the other 3 victims. Fox 7's Ashley Paredes will have that story tonight at 9.
So just a little update for you guys on that story. If you remember, we brought that to you on Monday as it was happening. We had live footage coming in about something that was going on UT at Austin campus. And just a little follow-up, that ran last night with our sister station in Austin, so I wanted to bring you that just for a little update on that story. So scary stuff, more questions to be had about what will become of those injured students, of course, and of the suspect also. All right, so we still have this roller coaster issue going on, guys. This, if you've been watching, this is the live picture. It looks like the chopper is moving now. There's a live, big aerial, big wide view zooming in on this silver bullet. It is the tallest coaster in Oklahoma, and it is stuck right now, and crews are efforting this rescue of the people in those carts. Looks like there's only a few left, and this is looks like to be a successful mission here. A few people left towards the front of the roller coaster. And yeah, it's still going on here. Don't have any sound on this video, but you are watching live pictures of this rescue in Oklahoma City. All right, guys, looks like a little break in the footage there. Not sure the chopper, how much it will cover of this rescue. I assume it'll be back shortly, but we did lose that feed. It is 2 o'clock on May 4th, Thursday. I want to thank you guys for joining us on this show. We usually do it midday, so you can catch it during your lunch break and just check in with what's happening around the country and around the world. And my name is Molly Nevola here in Washington, D.C. You can see the newsroom behind me. Kind of quiet at this hour, but we're going to slowly roll out of this show and bring you more live breaking news tomorrow, Friday. Be sure to check in with our Facebook page if you want the latest on all our web stories that we're covering and any updates, including this roller coaster footage. We are streaming that on our Facebook page. There will shortly be more of a description and information on that to come, so you can see what becomes of that. And don't forget, if you are on YouTube right now, to subscribe. Just click that button, subscribe to our channel for more stories and live events just like this, with myself hosting daily, weekday, live and breaking news for you and trending topics on Fox 5 Live. That's going to do it for us, guys. Have a great Thursday. Take care of yourself, and we'll see you here tomorrow, right here in the newsroom, on the digital newsroom. All right, bye, guys. We're going to leave you with a shot of the Capitol, live shot.